Yes. Now let's begin with the whole question of returning a person to the continent. They took all the risks. They've traveled across the deserts and the oceans, and they land in the UK. How is that being taken by migrants from Africa, especially?
Well, I have to say I haven't interviewed them, so I wouldn't know. But we do know that when this bill was first proposed in 2022, that some of the migrants who were told that they would be heading off to Rwanda were saying that they would commit suicide rather than go. Because, as you say, they've come a long way. They've taken enormous risks to cross the channel, and then they're expecting to start new lives in the UK. And they certainly don't want to be going back to they don't want to be going to Rwanda. I mean, it's worth bearing in mind that a lot of the people who are coming to the UK are fleeing dictatorships. And Rwanda has a really poor human rights record, and they are aware of that. So the last thing they want is to be moved to a new dictatorship.
Now, at home, why is this such a polarizing issue among the British people?
Britain is not the only country in Europe at the moment where the public is becoming increasingly concerned about high immigration rates, and it feels that it can't cope with the numbers that are arriving, that services, education, housing, that they simply can't deal with the numbers. And so we've seen the rise of populist right-wing governments promising to be tough on migration, and that appeals to voters, especially right-wing supporters of the Conservative Party. And even the left-wing Labour Party here is promising to be tough on migration. So this is part of their sales pitch, and we have an election coming up in November, and they are going to be, clearly the government has decided that the Rwanda bill is essential to winning the votes. So it is expected to lose that election. So it seems to have put a lot of emphasis on being tough on migration to try and win voters round.
And that those who have actually cited international law, where it is supposed to be that if a person arrives at the first country after escaping from whatever the situation might be where they've come from, they have a right to seek asylum in that country. So how is that playing out also for those who really care about international law and the UK's standing internationally, even from a moral point of view?
Yes, I mean, this is going to be debated. What the government is trying to do by having passed this new bill, which is the second of the bills that it has signed with Rwanda, is it is trying to avoid these issues being debated once again in the courts, because what happened at the end of a very long, torturous process last year was that the Supreme Court, our highest court, said Rwanda is not safe. And so Parliament now is being asked to decide that Rwanda is safe, despite what our highest court said. And that's what Rishi Sunak has decreed, that Rwanda is safe, and therefore this must be accepted by Parliament. And this is why people are raising the issue of constitutional crisis, because they're saying, the judiciary and the executive and Parliament are not supposed to contradict and interfere with one another. So if the Supreme Court is saying it's not safe, Parliament can't come along and decide it is. So we really have the basis of the Constitution is going to be debated over the next few weeks.